Hey everyone, welcome to Nourishment, your go-to spot for all things women's health. Today, we're tackling a topic that's super important for women of all ages, but especially during menopause heart health. We all know that taking care of our hearts is crucial, right? It's not just about living longer, it's about living. And believe me, a healthy heart makes all the difference. So, we're gonna break down some specific foods that can actually harm our heart health. We'll dive into why these foods are bad news and, most importantly, what we can swap them with to protect our hearts and feel fantastic. Let's get to it. Alright, let's kick things off with those tempting processed meats. We're talking bacon, sausage, hot dogs, you know the culprits. Now I get it, they're convenient and can be super tasty. But here's the deal, they're often loaded with saturated fat and sodium. And guess what? Too much saturated fat can raise our LDL cholesterol, which is the bad kind that clogs our arteries. And that extra sodium, not our friend either. It can lead to high blood pressure, putting more strain on our hearts. We want to be kind to our hearts, not give them extra work. So what's the takeaway? Limiting processed meats is a huge step towards better heart health. And hey, it's not about deprivation, it's about making smart swaps. More on that later. Okay, next up, let's talk about those sugary beverages. Think soda, sweetened juices, and those fancy coffee drinks with tons of added sugar. Now, I know a little sugar here and there isn't the end of the world. But these sugary drinks, they're often loaded with the sweet stuff, and that can lead to weight gain and a higher risk of heart disease. See, when we constantly spike our blood sugar with sugary drinks, it can mess with our metabolism and increase our risk of developing type 2 diabetes. And guess what's a major risk factor for heart disease? You got it, type 2 diabetes. So let's ditch the sugary drinks and reach for healthier options like water, unsweetened tea, or even a refreshing infused water with some fruit slices. Our hearts will thank us. Now let's talk about trans fats. These are the real sneaky culprits when it comes to heart health. They're often hiding in plain sight in things like margarine, some baked goods, and even fried foods. The problem with trans fats is that they raise our bad cholesterol, LDL, and lower our good cholesterol, HDL. It's like a double whammy for our hearts. High LDL cholesterol can build up in our arteries, forming plaque and increasing our risk of heart attack and stroke. And when our good cholesterol levels are low, it can't do its job of removing that bad cholesterol from our bloodstream. So let's be label detectives and avoid foods that list partially hydrogenated oil in the ingredients. That's often a sign of trans fats lurking within. Alright, let's talk about alcohol. Now, I'm not here to tell you to completely give up that glass of wine with dinner, but it's all about moderation and understanding the potential impact on our hearts. Drinking too much alcohol can lead to high blood pressure, heart failure, and even stroke. It can also weaken our heart muscle over time, making it harder for our heart to do its job effectively. Now, I know everyone's definition of too much is different, but as a general guideline, the American Heart Association recommends no more than 1 alcoholic drink per day for women. Remember, it's always a good idea to talk to your doctor about what's right for you, especially if you have any underlying health conditions. Let's talk about sodium, that sneaky ingredient that finds its way into so many of our favorite foods. Now, we need some sodium in our diet, but too much can be a real problem for our hearts. High sodium foods like canned soups, processed meals, and fast food can raise our blood pressure, putting extra strain on our hearts. Over time, this can lead to heart disease, stroke, and other health problems. The good news is that we can control our sodium intake by cooking more meals at home, using fresh herbs and spices instead of salt, and reading food labels carefully. Look for low sodium options and be mindful of serving sizes. Our hearts will thank us for it. Now, let's talk about refined carbs. These are the sneaky carbs that have been stripped of their fiber and nutrients, leaving behind just simple sugars. We're talking white bread, pastries, white rice, you know the culprits. The problem with refined carbs is that they're quickly digested and absorbed into our bloodstream, causing those dreaded blood sugar spikes and crashes. These spikes and crashes can lead to insulin resistance, weight gain, and an increased risk of heart disease. Instead of reaching for refined carbs, let's focus on those complex carbs that are packed with fiber, like whole grains, fruits, and vegetables. They'll keep us feeling full and satisfied, and our hearts will thank us for it. And finally, let's talk about red meat. Now, I'm not saying we need to eliminate it completely, but it's all about moderation and choosing leaner cuts. Red meat, especially processed red meat like bacon and sausage, can increase our risk of heart disease. This is because it's high in saturated fat, which can raise our LDL cholesterol levels, the bad kind. But here's the good news. We can still enjoy red meat in moderation. Choose leaner cuts, trim away visible fat, and limit our portion sizes. And remember, there are plenty of other great sources of protein out there, like fish, poultry, beans, and lentils. That's it for today's video on foods that women should avoid for a healthier heart. Remember, making small changes to our diet can make a big difference in the long run. By choosing nutritious foods and limiting those that can harm our hearts, we're taking control of our health and well-being. It's all about finding a balance that works for you and making sustainable changes that you can stick with. So start small, listen to your body, and don't be afraid to experiment with new recipes and ingredients. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more health tips. Take care of your heart and see you in the next video.